Class 8, it's time for revision now. So by this week you will be getting your syllabus for your half-yearly examination, and in geography 3 chapters are coming, and as well as map work also, right? So 3 chapters means first chapter is representation of geographical features, second is migration, and the third one second is population dynamics, and the third one is migration. So just go through these chapters, and map work is also important, right? So let's start the revision of first chapter, chapter number 1, representation of geographical features. So let's revise learning terms, important terms of the chapter. So contours are an imaginary lines which joins the places having the same height, right? So they are contour lines, and in topographical map these contour lines are shown in contour lines in brown color, right? So that is a contour, and contour interval is a space between those two contour lines. Represent a set distance. That distance is known as contour interval. And contour, remember that contours are always given in number and with its height and unit meter. If it is not written, just consider it as a, like if it is 200 only, so that is a 200 meter, right? Identification of mountains and plateaus. So when we talk about mountains, mountains are a raised or an elevation which rises abruptly around the above the surrounding areas, and it has almost pointed peaks, right? So when we talk about plateau is what is an elevated or raised area with relatively level surface which falls sown rapidly, or we can say a tableland whose top is flat, almost flat, right? Next is col or pass. It's a col is a short, deep or steep sided depression on the ridge. Temporary settlements and permanent settlements. So temporary settlement means it's a settlements which are occupied for short time, short period, right? And permanent settlements which are occupied for long period, long time. And nucleated or compact settlements means the nucleated settlements have a number of houses or huts built close to one another along the narrow streets or along the river sides. So these are the learning terms given in your given in this chapter. Now next is topographical map. What is topographical map? A topographical map is a large scale map which shows the natural as well as the man-made features. So natural features means mountains, plains, plateaus, hills, depressions, ditch, your forest. And when we talk about man-made things means malls, buildings, bridges, dams, flyovers, etc., right? So topographical map is a large scale map which shows all these physical as well as man-made features, right? So the importance of topographical map, or where these maps are used. So where these maps are used, these maps are used for engineering, public works, or for commercial and residential planning also. These topographical maps are used, right? Now so the information gathered from these type of maps, or information which we get from these maps, are extensively used in the field of defense as well as in navigation, right? Now come to the next topic. Now come to the basic features of contours. So when we talk about the features of contours, contours are actually, they are always shown in brown colors, right? And the so contours are what? Contours are the imaginary lines which joins the places having the same heights, right? So the contours are, when constantly drawn at the regular interval, we called it contour interval, right? So we can see the patterns of the contours also. If the contour lines are drawn very close to each other, that shows the steep slope, right? And if the contour lines are apart from each other, very far or wide apart from each other, that shows the area of having gentle slope, right? Next is the patterns of the contours, whether it's widely spaced or closely spaced, that show the shape of the land, right? And as we all know, contours are always shown in brown color on a map. So now next we have plateau, and we all know that the plateau is what is an elevated plain with relatively level surface which falls down rapidly. So it has a flat top, almost flat, and it is also known as stable land. So contours showing plateau are mostly concentrated on its sides, and its central part is almost without contours. So whenever we see on a topographical map this type of contour, like the contours mostly concentrated on the sides, and the middle part or the central part is almost without contours. So that shows that the place is having a plateau, right? Presence of plateau, we can say. Next is ridge. A ridge is a high elongated hill represented on map by elliptical contours, and the line of greatest elevation on the ridge is called the ridge line, and contours showing ridge are elongated and closely spaced. Sometimes there are peaks and passes across a ridge also, right? Next we have col or pass. A col or pass is what? It is a short steep sided depressions made on the ridge. So roads usually follow these depressions, and such a passage provided by a col in a mountain is called a pass. So pass is a natural way to move from one corner to other corner of that mountain, right? So that's a col. It's a natural pass, we can say, right? And it is a low land between the two mountain peaks. Saddle, when the depression between the mountain peaks becomes broad and low. When the, because we know the mountains, they have pointed peaks, and when when the depressions between two mountain peaks becomes broad, right? Broad and low, we called it saddle. It resembles the shape of saddle of the horse, as a result of which it is also known as saddle. So saddle, it's what? So saddle means it's a seat which is made up of leather, and it is usually fastened at the back of the horse. So it is this type of shape. So that is a saddle, right? So when we talk about the saddle which is formed between the two mountain peaks, that happens uh, when the depression between the two mountain peaks become broad and low. So that looks like the saddle of horse, right? So that is why it is named as saddle, right? Okay, now next is gap. The term gap is generally used for a pass which has been lowered by the action of running water. Okay, now settlement. Settlement means it's a place where people live and interact through various activities such as agriculture and manufacturing, trades, etc. Right now, settlements are always shown in red in color on topographical map, right? So when you find a block, red block, that is it's a permanent hut, permanent house. So when there is only border outline of that red outline, that block, that is temporary hut or temporary house. Now there are various types of settlements. So when we talk about the different types of settlements, number one is nucleated or compact settlement, dispersed settlement or scattered settlement, a linear or ribboned pattern settlement. So nucleated or compact settlement means when the huts or the houses are grouped together and they are very closely when the houses are closely compact, they are very close to each other. So that type of settlement is known as compact or nucleated settlement, and basically this type of settlements will find in we'll see in near the source of water, rivers, and confluence of river, and near the industrial site or industrial areas, right? Now next is dispersed or scattered settlements. As we know that the scattered settlement means the houses or the huts which are made very far away from each other. So we called it isolated dwellings or scattered or dispersed settlements, right? So okay, now where we'll find this type of settlements? We'll find these type of settlements in the mountainous regions or desert area, highlands, poor, the area having poor and infertile soils, lack of water supply, and the area of having lack of water supply, adverse climatic conditions. So adverse means uh, not suitable condition, like maybe extreme heat, extreme temperature, or extreme cold temperature, right? So now next we have linear or ribbon pattern. So these settlements develop along the roadsides or along the river side or along the roadside or canals or railway lines. So, and the growth of this settlement also depends upon the availability of water for domestic, industrial purposes, agricultural purposes. Right? Such a pattern can be seen along the perennial sources of water. So, perennial sources means perennial sources of water means in which water is available throughout the year. So, that is perennial sources of water. So along that perennial sources of water will find this nucleated or linear type of settlements. Okay, now besides these, we have also discussed about the different drainage pattern and identifications of colors and different symbols, right? So drainage pattern means it's a pattern of flow of streams. So that's the drainage pattern. So drainage pattern, we have various types of drainage pattern. We'll find in the we see or we find on the topographical map, such as your trellis drainage pattern, your radiated drainage pattern, trellis drainage pattern, and we have disappearing, and we have dendritic type of drainage pattern. So when we talk about, let's talk about the radial drainage pattern. So radial drainage pattern, if the rivers are, if the streams are flowing in all the directions, we call it, that means it's a like a sun rays, right? So we called it radial drainage pattern. Next, we have trellis drainage pattern. If the streams are cutting, or if the streams are joining the main streams in almost 90-degree, so it seems like what, perpendicular to that main river. So that is your trellis drainage pattern. So it makes T, right? So that's a trellis drainage pattern. Next, we have disappearing stream. So disappearing stream means stream is there, presence of stream is there, and suddenly it disappears. So that's the disappearing stream. And next we have dendritic type drainage pattern. So dendritic means it's a root like structure, right? So, and this I have already sent you a video regarding these drainage patterns. So you can revise, or you can see that video once again, right? And now next we have the colors, importance of colors. So importance of colors, like, let's talk about green patch. So on a topographical map, if you see find green patch there, so green patch signifies forest area, jungle, right? And if you find yellow color or yellow patch there, so that is cultivation, agriculture, cultivation, right? And white color, open scrub, infertile land. Clear? Next is brown color, contour lines. And if you see brown dots, so brown dots are what? It's a deposition of sand. So it's a sand dunes, right? And you'll find different drainage patterns, different settlement patterns there. Red signifies not only for the settlements, red color is also used for mode of transportations. So let's talk about the mode of transportations also. Single red line, if you find single red line on the topographical map, that is your car track. Single dash line, pack track. Red double line, metal road. Red dash broken line, dash line, red double dash lines, broken, that is unmetal road. So there is an importance of colors on the topographical map. So from color, from symbols, we come to know about the presence of man-made as well as physical features. Okay, children, through one activity, I told you how to find out the presence of hills, mountains, depressions, or valleys, right, through the contour lines. If you remember, I told you, I sent you one video regarding the activity, how to find out the features with the help of contour lines. So you just go through that video once again, you just revise it and try to learn it, right? That's all for the day, children. We'll revise chapter number 2, population dynamics, in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.